All right, so I have great news for you. Today's video lesson is going to be really short, and it's also the last piece of the weirdo cat of the subjunctive that we're going to learn this year. So after this video, and then after this chapter, we'll be done with the subjunctive. So thanks for hanging in here. I know that this has pushed you and challenged you. I know that it really makes you understand what the whole sentence is saying, which is what I want. That's the goal. That's why I do the subjunctive. And I know that it's also made you look at the world from a different perspective other than just the way that we speak English, which is also good for you. So this last piece of Weirdo Cat is the C in Weirdo Cat, which stands for conjunctions. We've already looked at time conjunctions. These are just other conjunctions in general. They are very similar to time conjunctions, as you will see. Each of them are different, and I'm not going to go into a ton of detail with them because there's actually hundreds of different conjunctions that use the subjunctive in Spanish. We're just scratching the surface here with a very few of them, all right? So I'll try to just introduce you to each one of them. I'll let you do the mind acrobats in your head of, oh yeah, that's why the subjunctive makes sense there. And these are the patterns that I would be looking for. But I'll try to introduce each one to you briefly and explain it a little bit. All right, so here are the 7 conjunctions that we're going to be looking at, and let me just kind of connect them all together for you so you understand why they all fit into the same category. All of these conjunctions are just that, they're conjunctions. So you've used conjunctions before like and, but, nor, for, yet. These are conjunctions that you use in your sentence to connect the first part of your sentence to the second part of your sentence, or kind of to connect two different ideas together or two different events, all right? So all of these conjunctions, that's how they're functioning in your sentence. And all of these conjunctions require the subjunctive to be used for the verb that comes after them, all right? So just like the time conjunctions, if you saw tan pronto como, as soon as, then you knew that the verb that followed that time conjunction was going to be in the subjunctive tense. So with these, the verb that follows after them will be in the subjunctive tense. Now, the verb that comes before them could be in a lot of different tenses, including the present tense, but normally not in the subjunctive. So let's look at these. We use the acronym ESCAPAS to help us remember these, from the verb escapar, to escape. So the E stands for en caso de que. So in the case of, in case, or in the event of. The S is sin que, which means without. The C is con tal de que, so provided that. The A stands for antes de que. Notice this is different than antes de. Okay, so antes de que would be before. P is para que, so that, or in order that. And then the A, menos que, which means unless. And then the S is siempre y cuando, which also means provided that, kind of like con tal de que. So let's look at some examples for each of these. All right, so let me just point out a couple things that you need to know as we look at these examples. So you're going to see that the conjunctions are all highlighted in black, and the subjunctive verb is highlighted in orange, all right, which always comes after the conjunction. So the first example, vamos a comprar más comida en caso de que ellos decidan cenar aquí. So we are going to buy more food in the event that they decide to eat dinner here. So we use the subjunctive tense here for that second verb. Why? Well, it's because we don't know whether they're going to decide to eat dinner here or not. So we're just doing these actions in the event, in case that some other action happens that we don't have any control over. The next one, él saldrá sin que ellos lo sepan. So he is going to leave without them knowing it. This action hasn't happened yet, right? He is going to leave. So are we sure that they're not going to find out that he left? Or maybe is there a chance that they'll figure it out when he actually does it, right? So we use the subjunctive for saber, to know. We say sepan. Sus padres le van a comprar un carro con tal de que ella saque buenas notas. So her parents are going to buy a car provided that she gets good grades. Has she got the good grades yet? She has it. It's all up to her. All the pressure is on her. And we're not even going to put that sacar in the present tense or the future tense. It's in the subjunctive tense because right now this is just an idea. It's a thought. It's a cloud of smoke. And if she gets good grades, then her parents will get a new car. But none of that's happened yet because it's all provided that. It's all dependent on her getting good grades. All right, so let's look at antes de que. This conjunction is a little bit tricky because you don't want to get it confused with antes de. So keep in mind that antes de que, it does require that the subjunctive is used because it's an adverbial phrase. But antes de, which you've probably used before, antes de and después de get used a lot, before or after. The antes de only requires the infinitive to be used after. So here's a couple examples. First one with the subjunctive. Yo necesito saludar a mi primo antes de que él salga. So I need to say hello to my cousin before he leaves, all right? And so I'm using the subjunctive for he leaves because I don't know when he's going to leave. I don't have any control over when he leaves. I just know that I need to or want to say hi to him before he does. The next one, though, yo necesito saludar a mi primo antes de salir. This sentence is different. So it's saying I need to say hi to my cousin before leaving. In other words, before I leave. So in this case, the action of leaving is all in my control. And so I don't need to use the subjunctive. I actually just end up using the infinitive form of the verb salir. And here's our last three conjunctions being used. So, acérquense todos para que brindemos. So, everyone come together so that we can toast. Maybe we're at a party and we say that. And so here you can see that the subjunctive is being used. We're asking all these people to do this one thing so that we will be able to do something else. If we don't do the first thing, the second thing won't be possible. So it's dependent on the first thing happening. Voy a acampar a menos que llueva este fin de semana. So I am going to camp unless it rains this weekend. I don't have any control over whether it rains or not this weekend. So I use the subjunctive llueva. Yo quiero ir con ustedes siempre y cuando ustedes tengan lugar en su carro. Now, this one's weird because siempre y cuando doesn't get translated literally here, like always and when. It gets translated as like provided that. So I want to go with all of you, provided that you have room or you have space for me, you have a place for me in your car. And so I want to do this thing provided that you actually have the space for me. I don't know if you have the space for me or not. That's out of my control. And we won't even know until the day of. So I use the subjunctive for the verb tener and conjugate it as tengan. These are the conjunctions. And so you will need to be able to recognize them, know that you should be using the subjunctive after them, and then also be able to understand some of them and what they're meaning as they will be used in sentences and reading comps and things like that.